Bomba-dee-da, 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 bomba-dee-da,
Hey, everybody.
What's up?
What's up? We're live. We're live. Hey, it
Happy
feels like
Trails
it's
here.
Happy Trails. Feels like it's been a long time since we got to get
I
out
know,
there and talk to y'all. What in the world? Where you been?
Where we been? Maybe
Where
it's
you been?
them.
What's
Maybe we've
happening?
been here all the time, and they're the ones that aren't here. Wait,
What the hell is going on?
what's going on
What's
here?
happening? Ah,
Welcome back to our Happy Trails podcast, fastest growing one in the world, I think. So
he thinks. I know it's the
that's what I
fastest
hear.
growing.
Matt, tell me it is.
It's the fastest growing multifamily real estate podcast in the world right now. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Fastest growing. So we just continue to grow, and I know we've got people out there excited to have us continue, and
that's why.
so here we are.
The reason is we provide value. That's why we're growing.
Yeah,
we're providing entertainment and value at the same time.
We are about giving.
Have you guys listened to a bunch of those other podcasts out there?
They don't give.
They're just like, hi, we're going to talk today and blah, blah, blah. And then they're done. And it's like, well, that was good information, but we have the entertainment factor over most of these other ones.
Yep.
You just can't find it.
Yep.
So, yep. And for all you guys out there who've been listening to us the last few weeks, you're dying to hear about a deal that we had come across. We're going to do it today.
So we said we were going to do a deal. We said we were going to do about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago. So today we're going to do a deal.
It's it. We're going to talk it over.
We're going to do a deal. We're going to walk through it. We're going to
some good learning points.
We're going to analyze it, or we're going to analyze it. Whichever way you said. Sure. But hey, before we get started, I'm Matt Bynum, dentist here in Simpsonville, South Carolina. My cohort over here,
Dr. Blaine McLaughlin, Robbins, Iowa, suburb of Cedar Rapids, the second largest city in the state of Iowa.
Wow. That's saying something.
Well, there's a lot of nice people here because we're Iowa nice.
You are Iowa nice. And Robbins, Iowa is the home of the robin.
Yeah. There's a lot of them nesting now.
There's a lot of robins there. It's that's where they got it. You know, some people would think it's robins named after somebody Robbins, but that's not really. This is robins as in there's so many. There's birds. More than one robin. So many of them everywhere that it's Robbins, Iowa.
Yeah. They take care of the worms, so don't have to worry about worms.
Well, shouldn't it have been called Worm, Iowa then before the robins?
No.
The
robins eat the worms.
Worms, Iowa. Hey, where are you from? I'm from Worms. Oh, well, you should be introduced to robins, and we can get together.
Yes, we can get together and connect.
10x.
Yeah.
10x. Right. Who's got your money?
Well, I'll tell you what. There's a deal here that wants your money.
Yeah, let's run through the deal. Let's do it because I'm excited. Now, I haven't seen this deal, so I'm excited. I'm excited to see what we got.
Well, I can show it to you. You want me to share a screen, Matt?
Yeah, let me make sure that we got share screen working.
Screen share?
Let's just see what we got. There, you're on. Boom. Okay. And mic drop, boom.
And share screen.
Share screen.
And look at this.
All right, people, here it goes. Now, we're not going to do like the one we did before where it took like an hour and a half to go through it, but we're going to go through it in a timely fashion.
Participants, you are screen sharing, it says.
You're on.
I'm on.
You're on, baby.
All right. So we got this deal here, and I named it Happy Trails. And this is an Iowa deal. I put CR because that's kind of where I'm from, but we're not allowed to technically tell you all the details about it. But I run through some deals here, come across some in Iowa, and some look good and some don't look good, and most of them, But this one, and I wanted to talk about this because there's some very teachable moments here. as I was analyzing this that we can talk about and that make a big difference,
I'm excited.
difference in this.
I'm excited.
And so and being a local Iowan, I have a much better idea on what the market's doing. I mean, we're certainly, Matt and I are certainly getting to know Texas, even though we don't live there, just by going through deals and talking to people, and just being ourselves. But in Iowa, and again, that's where I've grown up here in this state, and so yeah, we're going to talk about this. So this deal came across my email a month or so ago. It's 424 units, so it's pretty good size.
Yeah, it's decent.
Pretty good size, and it was built in the I think it was. There's two sections of them, late 70s, early 80s. So,
all right,
fairly old, Class C, certainly a Class C property, and they are asking $36 million for it. And if we look at our analyzer, you can see. I don't know. I think you can see.
Is that all? Pointer. Yeah, I see it.
30. Yeah, and you're like, well, that doesn't seem like very much, does it?
Yeah,
I mean, 424 units, because in DFW and you're looking at probably 120,000, 130,000 a unit. Out in Colorado, you're in Denver, Colorado Springs, you're looking at 180 to 200 a unit. You'd pay for these things. Phoenix and Tempe, you're looking again more closer to the 180-ish a unit. This one is being advertised at let me put this at 36.
Yeah, so just an idea, if you're doing 120 a unit times 424 units, that's you got over 50 in that.
50 million. They're asking around, they said mid 80s per unit, which comes to around 36 million for the asking price. That's what I talked to the broker, and that's what he said. So, in order to make this work, you gotta know what they're looking for. That would be called the what price?
Whisper.
The whisper price, yes. Whisper price, asking price. Whisper price just sounds cool because most people don't know what it is, and so when you throw that jargon out, they're like, "Hey, this guy knows what he's talking about." Right?
Yeah, that's excellent. It. You gotta have the lingo, and we've been through the lingo several times.
Yeah,
at least 2 different podcasts through the course of the last year.
Yeah, I think it's one of our first ones.
Yeah, and then we just did it again, like
2 or 3, and we did some more lingo
a month and a half ago or something.
Yeah, that one must be Duolingo.
Yeah, Duo.
That's what we are now. We're Duolingo. We're not Dua Lipa. There's no doubt. No, she's too cute for us. Anyway, so we got about 85,000 a unit at $36 million. There is a loan assumption. So again, if you're on YouTube, on our analyzer, we can go through here and we can look at our loan assumption, or you can put in new financing. Right, let's pull down menu if you're watching. New financing or loan assumption. They do have a loan assumption that they will send to you. So, or you can take over, and then you just have to raise the money for the rest of it. And it came to be about, when I looked at how much the loan was, it came out to be about 70% loan to cost. I thought, well, that seems pretty normal, but I don't know how long they've been paying on this. But you'd think either, and maybe they did. I think these people have owned it for 8 to 10 years, so it's been a while. So you'd think maybe that'd be paid down a little more. But anyway, 70% loan to cost, and the interest rate's 4.3%. What do you think of that, Matt?
Like it.
What are interest rates now? I mean, you're probably looking at 6.5 instead of 4.5.
Yeah, 6.5 probably be lowest what you're getting probably right now. 6.5. You're right.
So this might, I'm thinking this probably would be a good loan assumption. There's no interest only on it. So depending on what you're after and what you're trying to go for, either way can work. Some people like interest only, some people don't. Maybe it's a mindset. I don't know. I just look at the numbers, try not to worry about the mindset. So, and the amortization period is only 25 years instead of 30. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
But so there you go. We got our debt service down here, down payment and closing costs. And then I put in $2 million of unfinanced rehab, since we are doing a loan assumption. you could, if you wanted to, you could take out a secondary loan, and then you'd have the original. So, if the original loan is, you only own 40% of the property, and you don't want to raise 60%, you can take out, oftentimes you can take out a supplementary loan, so that you have basically two loans on the property, and then your capital raise is for your 30 to 40% at this point,
Right.
to get that. So, but we got $2 million from an unfinanced rehab. And I came up with that because I looked at the OM, and I was doing some figuring on how much it costs to rehab a bunch of units. At 424, again, we talked about leaving meat on the bone. You don't want to rehab all these, right? I mean, there's like 4 different levels. Dang, excuse me. 4 different levels of finishes on these. They got, classic, we'll call it bronze, silver, and gold, and different types of things. The classic ones are old. I mean, they haven't been, they got the white stove, and again, this place was built in the 80s, so not much has been done.
Shag carpet.
Probably, maybe they got rid of shag. They might have just put other carpet in.
Maybe a little paneling. Paneling.
So, if you're looking at rehabbing, 200 units, maybe that's a good amount to rehab, and it all depends on the OM. I got our current month on the average on the units was $916 a month. And so that kind of gives you an idea if you're following along and paying attention to rents. These are 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. In Dallas, you're probably, this is something that's probably 11 to 1200. You're paying out in Denver, Front Range, you're probably looking at paying $1,800 a month, probably almost twice that, which is why the cost on those is so much higher. But we got the pro forma rent at $1,000, so that's $84 more than the current month. And so again, they may be wondering how I came up with that. Well, if you rehab half the units and you can get $160 a unit, then your pro forma rent would average out to be about $80 increase per unit. All right.
Yep.
So hopefully you follow along that. But the pro forma rent seems very reasonable. Looking at some of the comps, I did some apartment.com searches and seeing what they were paying or what they're asking for in there. And $1,000 is very doable. So I'm like, okay. The sale price isn't too bad. We got an interest rate that's pretty good. On the rehab, we got a pro forma that I think is very reasonable. And then we come to the next page. So the other thing that I noticed is they list, and again, this is kind of one of those tricky things. They list the occupancy rate at between 94 and 95%. But there's also, you're getting, say, 5% people that, which is pretty good occupancy. Yeah, it's classically been known to be highly occupied. But you're also getting a fair amount of loss to lease on that. So, the market rent is at $950, but you're only getting $910. So that's part of that's another percentage of loss in there. And that's part of your economic vacancy that we add in. So on our line here, we got economic vacancy, and so you got to make sure you do that. So you can't just put in your 94% and be good to go, because that's not how it works, kids. So
correct.
So we get rental income, we get other income we put in there, and I'm looking at cash flow projections. And I'm seeing 5, 6, 7, and 8% over the. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good, And again, I think not being overly aggressive on the $1,000 rent is and those are decent numbers. Loan to value, or I'm sorry, DSCR, which is a debt service coverage ratio. The banks typically like 1.25 or more, and our lowest one is 1.41. So that shows there's enough cash flow to cover the loan. And so that's good. I mean, that's like, hey, okay, well, that makes sense, because you don't want to be cash negative. That doesn't go well long term. And then I put projected increases in rent. I put it 2.5%. I think the general number that most people put in is around 3. Well, in Iowa, you're not getting quite the appreciation that you might be elsewhere. However, over the last 2 years, I've been following some websites that talk about rent increases, and they had the crazy rent increases in Dallas, Colorado, Arizona, Florida, up until 2023, and then everything, or 2022, and then everything started leveling off. And some people were getting 15 to 18% a year increase in rent. In Iowa, they were getting 6 to 7, which is really good, but not 15 to 18. Well, over the last year, everything has leveled off in Dallas, Phoenix. Phoenix is actually dropping. Denver, Florida, the rents they're charging now are similar to what they were charging 2 years ago. Things are kind of coming back to earth there. However, in Iowa, things have gone up 3 to 4% over that time. So I was done really well during this what do you want to call it? Real estate pause, maybe.
Yeah, little pause, little hiccup.
Yeah, hiccup. Maybe hiccup's a good word. Okay, and so and that's just kind of how Iowa rolls. It doesn't have the huge bigs and it doesn't have the huge bads. So anyway, I put 2.5% for that, and I'm thinking this is kind of cool. So I'm looking at the one of the other first things I looked at is we go down here, cap rate at purchase, and we got 6.2%. I'm like, dang, that's not an Iowa cap rate,
right?
For a C class property,
right?
Yeah, that's a Texas one. I'm like, that should be closer to 7. And again, doing some research and seeing what other things are going for. So 36 million, yeah, definitely overpriced. These guys are, they're trying to get out of it what they can, of course. And then we go into expenses. I did a quick expense here, as if you can see this. I put in just one. I didn't separate them out because that takes some time, Matt. I got stuff to do.
Yeah,
we got so I'm like, let's just throw this in there. And so I took out the T12. I took the T12, which tells you the income and expense from the last year, and it shows the expense from the prior year, and I put that in there as the expense. And I'm like, all right, let's do this as the pro forma expense, and we'll see what we come up with. And hang on. So I did all that, and then I'm like, and I'm coming back to our front page, and I'm like, okay, here's our first page. We see a 5-year total return of 83%, which is not bad. Anywhere between 80 and 100 is something is doable, right? And I'm thinking that's pretty good. It's got cash flow. The average cash flow is at 7, and so I'm thinking, okay, this is something. This may not be a huge hitter in 2 years, but if you're looking at good cash flow and you want to hold on to this for a while, I like this. And so I have some connections here in Cedar Rapids, Matt.
I know you do.
Iowa.
I know.
And around Iowa. So
they call you the mayor. They call you the mayor.
No, I've never been called the mayor.
Governor. Hello, governor.
No, those are my friends. I call my one friend a governor and my other one a senator, but no. They call me half a doctor, but basically what they call me.
Well, you're not really you're not a real doctor. I mean,
I'm just a half one.
You're just a dentist. I mean,
maybe a quarter one.
Hello.
Who knows?
You're not even a real doctor.
So I was contacting people, and the thing about this property is it was for sale last summer. And I was like, this was for sale last summer. It just comes out here in March or April again. I'm like, well, that's interesting. What's the deal with that? So I talk to some of my connections, see if they know anything about it. And I found out that the sellers are not extremely motivated to sell. Okay. So that's one thing. If you're not motivated to sell, they're sitting on this loan, it's cash flowing for them. They're just hanging out. They're like, yeah, we'd like to get rid of it, but So, are they pressured to come down on price? Probably not. Probably not.
No, probably
So
not.
then I'm like, okay, we got an 83% return at their price, which is great. If you put in a 7 cap rate, I think that comes out to be about 33 million. We'll put in oh, now I lost all my zeros. Okay. If we put in 33 million, say they come down 10%, and if you recall, real estate's has been down between 20 and 25%. So it's still a reasonable price. We throw in $33 million sale price, then our passive returns come up to 109%. And you're like, damn, now we're talking. Okay. Chances of them doing that, I think, are slim because they're not motivated.
Yeah, because they'd be making too much.
Right. So they're like, we're not leaving that off the table. So I'm like, well, okay, not motivated. And I'm like, is there any deferred maintenance on the property? And the realtor's like, well, there's not a whole lot. I mean, it's been kept up pretty well. There's some landscaping. There's a whole bunch of trees around this place, like trees and walls, landscaping walls and stuff like that. And some of them are in some disorder. So, and at 424 units, it's substantial. So you're looking at maybe out of that, 1.5 or that $2 million unfinanced rehab, you're maybe looking at 500,000 to 700,000 for landscaping,
right?
Just to get that up into shape,
right?
And pretty nice. So I'm like, all right. And then the thing that I think what I heard really killed the deal, and again, I go back to the T12. Now this is where you got to do your due diligence, boys and girls. The T12 had the expenses of what do we have? $2.3 million. The insurance on that was listed at like 214,000 a year. I'm like, okay, sounds good to me. I don't know. But there's this little thing called a derecho that came through Cedar Rapids in the middle of Iowa a few years ago, and it destroyed all the trees, and it beat the hell out of a bunch of roofs and houses, and I mean it was brutal. A derecho is a inland hurricane, and half the trees they said were blown over by this thing. It was a freaking disaster. I mean, there's power outages for weeks here in Iowa, in different places. We didn't have power for at least it was like 8 days here at our house, and you couldn't even travel on the roads. There was like trees all over them, and so you couldn't get around. It was hard to maneuver anywhere, and so that has peaked. So insurance companies that were insuring a bunch of places here in eastern Iowa got hammered like big time, and so the insurance cost has skyrocketed because of that. And so one guy said instead of about 214,000, he was looking at a 500,000 for the insurance per year. So that's an extra $300,000 out your of cash you have to pay out, right? So that's substantial. I mean, that's that makes our passive return instead of 83%, now we're at 48%. And that's a whole different ballgame, folks. So we have people that are not.
Who's got your money?
Money. The insurance company does.
Damn.
So again, due diligence. If you're like, hey, the T12 looks good and blah blah blah, and all that's great. This might have been pretty good shape, but because of that and the fact that they're not motivated to come down, I don't think this deal is going to happen the way they want it to, and I think it's going to sit here for a long time.
So why would they? Here's the question: why would they even list it?
Well, because somebody will come by. I don't know if somebody's,
right.
There's always the opportunity for somebody to go, hey, I need to 1031 a property or my something I sold. And we talked about 1031s a couple of episodes ago.
Like kind of exchange.
Or somebody's got some money they have to invest before the end of the year, and they're like, hey, this is a good idea. This is a good deal. It's cash flowing okay, and maybe they're in it for that.
Yep, that's exactly what I was looking for, Blaine, because there's people out there that they have properties, they're not in a hurry to sell them, but they also know that A lot of these notes are coming due. There's going to be sales, and they're going to have to move money from one property to another. So why not? If this sits somewhere in the middle and this looks like an exchange where somebody can throw their money and fix it up still and make some modification to it, even though the deal doesn't look good when we finally analyze and dig down in it, maybe it's somewhere that they can throw their money and rehab and bring the value back up because they have to get rid of the money. You have to.
Or they pay taxes on it.
Or you pay tax. Or you don't have to. You're just going to get taxed out the wazoo.
We don't have to pay taxes.
The wazoo is located somewhere near the behind. Out the wazoo.
Yep. Isn't that where I think that's where our money goes when it goes
where
tax to the wazoos.
That is where it goes.
A bunch of wazoos.
You got that right. You got that right.
Oh shoot. So yeah, I think that is my understanding of why the deal didn't go down last year very well, and the owners were not willing to negotiate the price, so they're like, okay, and so they had to put it back on the market.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, it's kind of a due diligence thing. You know, you when I think of insurance issues, I think of Houston and Florida, you know, hurricanes, right? And maybe Tornado Alley. I don't know. I don't do much in Oklahoma or Kansas, but you know, maybe those areas. I don't think of the Iowa. You know, obviously we have inland hurricanes here now, but the you know, that's again, it's just not commonplace. I mean, anybody who didn't live in Iowa, or I mean, would have no clue that would be an issue because they weren't here to experience that. Right. And so that's why boots on the ground, knowing somebody local who knows the market is so important.
And boots on the ground, another name for that would be asset manager.
Sure. Asset management people. Yes.
Because you got your property managers that are handling the property, but there's boots in the ground as your part of your GP team that has the ability to actually check up on this and monitor and progress and whatnot. So,
and make sure that everything's getting rehabbed the way it's supposed to. The CapEx is getting spent. The stuff's getting done. Things are getting taken care of, man.
And again, what makes this deal so analyzable on top of just throwing it in there and looking at those numbers, Blaine, was your connections with people that know about this property. So that's like, you know, the asset manager knows people that knows people that knows people. So again, you gotta know the people in the biz, and hopefully you trust your broker that's giving you the right information. That, you know, here's a broker that wasn't really giving out the information. Now, were they? They were giving out the information that they wanted you to get, and not necessarily the information that they might probably do know about, but weren't going to share it with you. So, and again, these are how deals go wrong, people. You know, you look at these numbers, you think, gosh, this looks great. So without digging into it too widely and too deep, you have no idea. So until we dig into that and find out that, man, this doesn't look too good. I mean, I don't know about you, but passive return of 48.2%.
Yeah. It's not the worst. Not the best.
It's not thrilling to me.
It's not 3%.
Yeah. Hey, it absolutely it is. So just keep it in the fund. Just keep it in the fund.
Right on.
That's it. That's nice. Hey, I'm just curious. I mean, because I didn't see a breakdown of what these. You said there were 2, 3, and 4 bedroom, but I didn't see the breakdown of what those were.
No, that's because I was doing a quick analysis on it.
Okay, I was just curious.
Wanted to dig deeper than the in back of the napkin.
Yeah.
So
I was just curious what the breakdown.
What the breakdown?
Yeah.
I don't have that. It was on the arm.
No big. It was good.
So
quick down and dirty, dude. That was a good job.
Yeah, and it took me, again, back the napkin is 60 seconds to go, hey, is this cool? And this is, you know, this took me gathering numbers and stuff, took me an hour, right? Yeah. So it's the next step. And if you really wanted to get into it, I'd separate all the expenses out, the T12 expenses out, you know, and look at them individually and going, okay. And They did give you a property tax report on us, a property tax estimate. So somebody was doing that, so you could get an idea of what possibly the property tax would be. So you could add that into your operating expense. And again, I just used the pro forma. I used the number from prior year and added an extra 300,000 for the insurance. Taxes are probably going up a little bit too. So,
Nice.
you know, there might be a way to cut expenses too. I don't know. Like I said, I got into that, and with the insurance thing being so crazy, it's
Yeah,
like,
that's
whoa.
nuts. That's nuts.
But all the
So-
ribs are fairly new.
Yeah. Nice.
So I mean, you know, that's that they got all new roofs on that suckers on their 28 buildings or whatever they have.
Yeah, 20 that are 50, 40 something year old buildings.
All brand
50-year-old
new
buildings.
roofs. All now roofs are all now 3 or 4 years
Good.
old. So that's
Works.
That's nice. That's nice. But
That's a plus down the road when somebody comes to purchase it, believe me.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So you can find some way of messing with the insurance and getting a better bid, or something like that. But
Nice.
there you go.
Good job, Blaine. Nicely done.
Well, guys, thank you much for joining us again. Next week we'll be back. We told you we are going to start some interviews with some people.
Yeah,
so,
we should have some. I tried to line one up today, and we didn't have our cohort hit me back, so maybe he's somewhere in Fiji or something. So, but I think next week we'll get somebody on tap and get some good interview stuff going, more education, more knowledge, and look forward to bring it to y'all for sure.
All right. Don't forget to join us on our website if you want to learn more. Right.
Go to the website. Go to the email.
happytrailsrealestatedocs.com.
Yeah,
should be in a link down below.
Hit that link, get online, fill out the information, send us a question, and share this with your friends. Again, fastest growing real estate podcast in the world, right here. Happy trails,
Freaking
everyone.
Entertaining as hell.
You got that right. And value. Fact. Happy trails, everybody.